All right, let's move to running back, where Emory has ranked his top 5, and to nobody's surprise, and I mean this in a complimentary way, your running back rankings do not in any way, shape, or form mirror the consensus that is out there, Emory. I definitely knew who your number 1 running back was and didn't Google him. I mean, that was who your excuse me, your top 5 are Desean Corbin, Isaiah Spiller 2, Brees Hall 3, Kyron Williams 4, and Zamir White 5. No mention of Kenneth Walker. Give me the rundown of why you've got, like, I mean, I think you're the, like, first of all, Corbin isn't even bettable as the first wide receiver, or first running back taken on my site. Like, he's just field other. And then I think you're the only place I've seen where it didn't have Brees Hall ranked first overall. Kind of break that down for me.
Well, I feel like Corbin, when you watch him, he does everything that you want the running back to do at the position, and he ties it all together. Vision, footwork, elusiveness. Can you be your own blocker? Can you operate when things aren't as it is designed on the whiteboard? You know, when you look at some backs, it's like, okay, I know these guys are supposed to be blocked here. This is where the play is supposed to be. But sometimes you have to create outside of that. And those are the traits that he has that makes it special. Plus, he has the burst. He has the ability to catch the football. He does a lot of things really well. So for me, this is a evaluation on the talent, and wherever he goes, whenever he goes, I'm not worried about it because I know he's going to see the field and have an impact. And for Brees Hall and Isaiah Spiller, both guys have the same grade. In my opinion, I gave him an 80 grade. So what has Spiller ahead, Spiller's receiving skills is dynamic. You know, he's not your meets expectations type receiver as a running back where you're catching swing, screens, flares, and flats. No, you could send him down the field and he could be a legitimate threat in the passing game. He, won the Colorado game with a deep ball going down the sideline. He almost, was able to get these guys to come back against Arkansas by how he can catch the football and get upfield. So it's that the receiving ability that has him ahead of Brees Hall, who I think is a really talented runner, foundational back, starter back, reminds me a lot of, Curtis Martin and how he runs in terms of what he does and how he runs in between the tackles. He has a great sense of timing of when the big play needs to be made. So I like both backs, and that's why they have the same grade, but, slightly higher because of the receiving ability. And Williams, it's funny, every year in the draft, we talk about can his running back pass pro? And all of a sudden this year, we don't care about how they could block because
that's weird.
This is the best blocker at the position in this class. And he also is someone that rips off long runs and chunks. So when you watch him run whatever he ran at the 40 or 4.7, it's shocking because, wow, he plays faster than that. If he ran 4.4, you'd be like, yeah, I can see that on tape. He was running past everybody. So I don't know why everybody's knocking him because of his speed, because clearly he has football speed. And Zamir White, love the kid, love the ability that he has overcome those 2 knee injuries. So I compared him from that sense and how he plays to Frank Gore. I feel like this dude is another type, a Frank Gore type that can be that guy at the next level.
I thought you were going to compare Zamir White to you because you're 2 knee injuries. That's why you put him on the list.
But he was like 75 times better than I was.
And that's where he got 1 or 2 knee injuries. Wilson wants to injure his knee a second time just so he can brag about having 2 knee injuries. Like,
I can't keep up with Emory. He's got me. But I was yeah, Emory and I were talking about this before the podcast. We both love Corbin. I just talked about Corbin in HQ, and it's weird that no one's talking about him outside of me, Emory, and BMAC because he's a Florida State guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and I don't like to bring stuff around Prisco, but I told Emory this. That first game of the season, second game, whenever that was, and he had that 89-yard touchdown run, Kyle Hamilton is not even close to catching him. And the concerns about Kyle Hamilton are the speed. And look, I get it. It's not Kyle Hamilton's fault he scored. There are 10 other guys that didn't do their jobs there. But it just stands out because we've been talking about Kyle Hamilton for months. And after he ran that 4.7 at his pro day, people turned on him. Now, Emory, I showed you what Brees Hall said to me when I had him number 2, and you put him number 3. The only thing and I love you. I think you're exactly right about Kyron Williams. Like, the blocking is what stands out to me, and he plays so much faster than whatever he ran at the combine there. The only question I have is, where's my guy Ken Walker?
Walker is my 10th running back.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Walker. And this is the comp I gave him is, the same comp and it's the same type of way I saw the guy that I compared him to. He reminds me a lot of Josh Jacobs. A solid, good back. But I feel like his 4.3 speed is is a product of Indianapolis's fast track.
Right.
I don't think he plays 4.38. There's no way possible he plays 4.38. There's a lot of times where he runs into contact. And I know people say, well, he had so many 50-yard runs. Here's a fun fact, guys. Speed has nothing to do with breaking off long runs. And when you break off long runs, a lot of times it's about your vision, your footwork, and your ability to hit a gap. Because up until I want to say maybe year 3 or 4 in the NFL, Reggie Bush didn't have a run longer than 50 yards. Who had one longer than 50 yards? Jerome Bettis. And you would say that Reggie Bush is faster than Jerome Bettis, right?
We would acquiesce to that.
Exactly.
We'll give you that one.
Right. And so I'm like, listen, Walker is good, but I feel like he's, for me, and I remember being on this show last year saying why I liked Michael Carter more so than his teammate Javonte Williams. I feel the same way about Walker. I feel like Walker's a solid back, but give me the guys that have the great combination of vision, footwork, explosiveness more so than someone that's good. But I feel like there's guys that are just a little bit better.
Who is if you got to pick my guy, your guy? I like that you're not going top guy on the list, right? You're going with a different running back. Tyler Algiere. Is it Algiere?
Algiere.
Okay, not a bad effort for me. That's probably
That's
like
closer,
a
yeah.
B+ effort for me relative to
B+.
most other pronunciations. How come he's your guy you're pounding the table for?
This is the part I hate about the whole draft media complex. It's like if we go back to, let's say, late September, right? We all watching that late night BYU game after Alabama done spanked somebody, and we like, man, this, and you see takes on Twitter, right? Man, Algiere is my RB1 in this class, and a lot of people start, RB1. We don't even talk about this dude no more, man. It's like, what the hell happened from then to now? Nothing. This dude is legit good. So I think he's of the caliber of your Javonte Williams and those type of guys. He kind of reminds me of James Robinson that plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you're going to get a good, productive back that has special teams experience, plays on teams. So he's going to see the field and he's going to get some carries and be productive. And it's somebody you're like, wow, mid-season, you're like, oh, he's a starter for them? Well, that makes sense. Well, yeah, he was doing it at BYU. So that's someone I think can step in right away because he plays special teams, but also he's a very good runner.
Yeah, he also caught 28 passes last year, which was career high for him. So, and I was telling Emory that he reminds me a little bit of James Conner because of that versatility, and he's built like James Conner. He's thick. And what was the USC game? He was just he ran away from guys. The UVA game, he ran away from guys. And as Emory just talked about, he's a 4.6 guy. That's what he ran. But there's a reason he's running through arm tackles and then creasing through holes because of his vision and his ability to move well laterally and then kick it in high gear. And by the way, when you're a 4.6 guy and a 4.48 guy is trying to run you down and you got a 20-yard head start, he ain't catching you. So it doesn't matter.
All right. What about a buyer beware guy for you, Emory?
Buyer beware would be Brian Robinson. I've seen a lot of, RB1 takes with Brian Robinson or, first round takes with Brian Robinson. Listen, man, I get it. He played at Alabama. We see Alabama a lot. They play a lot of big games, and people love to, have the fantasy of, the NFL films run where you just crunching helmets and crunching shoulder pads. Bro, you got to make somebody miss. You got to make somebody miss. You got to be able to rip off long runs. You got to be a factor in the passing game. I see him more as a complimentary guy. As a 4-minute offense type guy, a closer type guy.
Yeah, just get downhill and drag some dudes for a couple of yards, right?
More Gus Edwards than J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
And there's no knock on Edwards or Robinson, but I feel like people are elevating him to expect him to be something that he wasn't. And there's a reason why every back that was at Bama was ahead of him before they exhausted all those options and went to Brian Robinson.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the sort of thing where that's a fine complimentary piece to have in your backfield, but you can't use a first, obviously not first, but you don't really want to use a day 2 pick on a guy who's just going to plow ahead for, 3 yards at a time, right? I mean, I think that would be the concern. Well, the battering rams are always nice to have as well. Okay. Tight ends. Oh, sorry. God, I'm skipping it. You had a sleeper, Morgan Ellison.
Listen, the name may sound familiar to some because he was at Indiana before he had to leave, and he ended up at Southeastern Louisiana. The dude runs 4.6, low 4.6, high 4.5. He can catch the football in the backfield. Reminds me a lot of Chris Carson, and we just talked about Brian Robinson and Chris Carson, the same ilk, but maybe a better athlete. I feel like Ellison is of that same linear plane, so he's someone that can get in, play special teams, but will surprise folks with how explosive he is as a runner. And my small school guy is Kwai Holmes. He reminds me a lot of Arian Foster in the sense that he's a taller back. He returns kickoffs, so that tells you a lot about his functional speed. Slow guys don't return kickoffs; they return punts because they're more quicker. But if you have to have real speed to return kickoffs. And Kwai Holmes did that. He was a foundational back for East Tennessee State, 1,500 yards each and every year, went down to the Hula Bowl, had a really good week. So I think he's someone that will end up late day 3 or priority free agent, but one of those undrafted free agents that we talk about in training camp that just blow it out the water.